Happy Tuesday. Welcome to our Natural Health News Live show. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Gallagher. I'm a naturopathic physician based here in the northern suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia. And today we are going to talk about a new study, some new clinical research out about a particular type of enzyme that we all have. Some of us have this enzyme in greater abundance. And in fact, certain supplementation can either increase or lower this particular enzyme receptivity in our body. So that is our topic today. It is specifically at how to reduce this receptor. And we'll also dig into the research that showcases men particularly are more prone to this receptor, which COVID-19 attacks, and that is how it grows and expands in our body. So we're going to dig into this specifically today in our Natural Health News Live show. I will be sharing two different compounds, supplements that you should definitely consider adding into your diet and adding into your daily regimen if you are looking to decrease your risk, but most importantly to also lower these receptors because they will make you more prone to having heart and cardiovascular challenges. So we're going to dig into that as well today. And so welcome all of you tuning in. It's exciting to have you all join me today. Please give me a thumbs up. YouTube is in a censorship mode. So I am now backing up all of my live shows as soon as we're done. So it's taking a little bit more time to edit them. But I want to make sure that I have a clearinghouse in the event we do get censored for some of this content, that I have a space where you can watch this on the replay. So welcome all of you. Tell me where you're tuning in from and watching down below. And I'm going to dig right on into the statistics and stats of where we stand today with COVID-19 cases. And I'm also going to review where we're at with our mortality. The amount of deaths is increasing and it's very tragic. So the world's at 4.178 million cases. The US is at 1.378 million. And the total deaths that we have had has really risen. We're at 81,491 deaths. That is a substantial amount of our fellow Americans and individuals that have suffered. A lot of these individuals are individuals that are in nursing homes. We are now seeing veterans in their nursing home, the vet homes be quite vulnerable. And it's terrible. That's just an intense amount of individuals. So just breaking down the states, nothing substantially has moved, but New York's at 337, New Jersey's at 139. Illinois is number 3 now. They've surpassed Massachusetts. They're at 79,000. Massachusetts is at 78. California is at 67. And when I say 67 or 78, it's 1,000. Pennsylvania is at 57. They're on the move. They're on the incline up. We'll probably see them hit 60,000 before, I'd say Thursday. Michigan's over the 40,000 threshold. There has been kind of a leaked report, and I tried to print the full thing, and ironically, it won't print the areas where we're seeing an incline. But there are some areas in the U.S. that have over 1,000% increase in the cases. On average, they're in from 100 to 600% increase in the cases. One of the major states that has been hit, or cities, it's called Centra City, Kentucky. They had a 600% increase, and they're seeing some of the smaller heartland communities being hit with this. So just heads up on any of you who are in these smaller areas that your cases are in the incline. And I see Holly's in Mercer County. I don't even know where Centra City is. I've never been to that city. But there's been, I just want to clarify because, the world of misinformation, it comes from all sources, but I want to clarify the US, we have the most amount of cases. We are number 1 in that category. That's not something of for sure, but also we have not tested the most people. That idea, that storyline is complete BS. States or countries that have tested more than us: Iceland, Italy, Germany, Canada. Those are just several examples. per capita, if you will, on the, for every 1,000 for every 1,000 citizens, the US on average is testing between 16 and 17 citizens. That is not fabulous in terms of the quantity. So we have not tested the most folks in the world, despite what you're going to hear. There is more information that masks are working. So I've had several of you send me Instagram messages and emails of folks in my line of work, naturopaths and other functional medicine doctors, MDs, DOs, who are touting the fact that, masks are going to reinfect you. They decrease your oxygen flow. All of that is nonsense. It's not founded. But what is, because you guys know I love facts and statistics and information that is factually based, this is a sheet. This is a breakdown of the difference between countries that have been required to use masks, and they've also coupled up with really good, intense testing, more than 16 or 17 per 1,000. And they've done tracing. That's a contact tracing where they say, like the gentleman in South Korea, one dude went out to 3 bars and a nightclub and ended up touching and infecting or exposing, this sounds really crazy, exposing the virus to 1,000 people. I was going to say exposing himself, but that's not true. But he did come into contact with over 1,000 people. Because of that, this individual in Seoul, Korea, is the reason why the bars and nightclubs are shut down again, and they're going into lockdown. But, had he maybe gone in with a mask, who's always going to do that? You're a 20-something-year-old and you're having a good time. You've been in lockdown. You're going to go out for a bar, drink, and dance a little bit. These countries have showcased that wearing masks plus testing plus tracing is effective. They're on the downcline. Green is good. Red, not so much. So Canada. We have Canada, we have the UK, we have the USA, we have Russia, and then we have Brazil. All 5 are on the incline. And I don't know if this is inverted for YouTube. It might be. Apologize. So this is very telling. The fact that we are not implementing. This is up to, it's a 7-day average of cases up to May 2nd. So this is from, up to last Saturday. But masks are effective, and I encourage you to wear your masks. I have my friend Sarah, and multiple other Etsy links I've got down below. But Sarah's producing masks every day. They're high quality. They're the thickness that you want. They have an insert for a filter. I've gotten questions about filters. I actually am looking at putting those out there for you guys to buy. I just need to do a little bit more logistics on my end to make that happen. But masks are critical, and we need to be wearing them. So if you are out and about and you are in any type of work setting or going shopping, please wear your mask. Wear your mask if you are going to be in any type of contact with anybody. This includes, for New York, you guys are going to start reopening. Tennis playing is going to start to happen in certain areas. Landscaping, gardening, wear your masks. It's safer. The name of the city in Kentucky, Holly, is called Centra City, Kentucky. They've had a 600% increase. And, I see 2009 BA. I've got to go to the dentist today. My crown broke. Oh, no, I'm so sorry to hear that. So your dentist will be in full gear. So expect everybody to be wearing everything. And I would go in wearing glasses. A lot of times they'll give you goggles, but I would wear them anyway, just protect. One of the things in the dental offices, they need intense negative pressure, and just the different procedures, it can kick up a lot of the viral particles. So you really want to protect yourself. Even I would cover your hair and make sure you go home and take a hot shower. That might make a little bit of swelling depending on the crown, but wash your body, wash your hair, change your clothing. So that's my little tip there. Okay, so I have more news. Some of the things that they are cautioning against, as we know, evidence is showing, research and science is showing that the smaller enclosed spaces like bathrooms, factories, poorly circulation, poor circulation in enclosed office spaces are going to be areas where there's greater particle intensity. So one of the things I'm thinking, and comment down below on both platforms, let me know. I'm thinking about doing not a live show, but actually an edited video of, for instance, Brian's company wants everybody to go back on Monday. That's not going to happen for him because of his ITP and this autoimmune thing he has. But I'm preparing for him to go in. And when that does happen, there's stuff I'm going to have him set up in his office, some things that we're going to, measures to take. So I'm thinking about putting that together in a video. I don't know if it would be received. So I want to know if you guys are interested in me doing that. So comment down below, let me know. But speaking of enclosed spaces, Uber is on the decrease. And they actually used Zoom yesterday to furlough 3,500 customer support staff. The drivers are still driving, but there's also measures they're taking in their cars. And we're going to see this just economic impact on, we're seeing this also in the world of airlines. There's been some statements that one of the airlines, probably Southwest or one of the other, United, possibly United has lots of bad press every year. They have some stupid thing that they do. And one of the things that happened more recently is they packed one of the planes, and they're supposed to be social distancing, was not happening. People were not wearing masks, and they were actually transporting at least 30 medical workers along with other passengers that had been, these workers, these doctors and nurses were on COVID cases. And we already know 20% of our medical workers have exposure. So there's a likelihood there may have been some spread on that plane, who knows, but that's very challenging. Some other stats that are just alarming: organ transplants are down globally. We've seen a 51% decrease here in the US and up to 90.6% decrease in France. So, many of us know, I know patients that, are on a waiting list for heart or lung or liver transplants, kidney transplants. Some of this is really not deemed elective, but because of COVID, there's just been a delay. And that could very well impact just the quantity of folks who need to receive them sooner than later. We're also seeing some other things happening in food safety. This is probably the most alarming thing I'm going to report today. So food safety, the FDA has inspections all the time going into plants and operations factories that are manufacturing our food, from spinach to oranges to meat packing facilities. And on average, they have about 900 different visits. So they have got these inspectors, they go in, and out of 900 a month, usually there are about 600 citations made. Some are as, I don't say minor. This is it's so major when you think about it. But on the minor side, it's like, oh, well, you don't protect the food from pests like rats and cockroaches, to major metal and contaminants being in the meat or the food. So, the question is, what's happening in that world with the social distancing? So on average, 900 visits a month. In April, the FDA logged only eight. Okay, that is insane. And out of the 8, 2 of them had citations. So we have a lot to be concerned about that because they will flag potential contaminants. E. coli is tested, salmonella, listeria. This is extremely impactful in terms of food safety. So it's not just COVID-19 being in the plants with the workers, but it is how safe is our food and the potential risk of foodborne illnesses. So we just have to know that, but it's something that is probably not going to be reported. Also, the Major League Baseball is taking some cues from apparently another sports community, UFC fighting. I actually, at one point in my life, was really into this, but not anymore. But UFC, there was a fight apparently over the weekend, and one of the cornermen had tested positive, and because of that, they took actions. And then Major League Baseball is basically going to mirror that. So if a player tests positive, which by the way, Major League Baseball is aiming to start playing again in July. So if a player is tested positive, they will isolate him, anybody he's been in contact with for a certain period of time. So they've released that kind of process. Now, the other thing too that we're seeing is, because there's so much misinformation, false, inaccurately reported, conspiracy theories, just stuff that is unsubstantiated. Twitter, I'm not a big Twitter fan. I don't know if any of you are, but Twitter has rolled out, you got the little Twitter symbol here. Twitter's rolled out a kind of methodology to label. So they've identified a labeling way to basically identify a tweet that's not founded. So they have, misleading information. The label will be yellow, or it might be, red and it's been removed. Then any type of disputed claim, so they'll label it. There would be a warning. So there's, kind of moderate level. You're going to have yellow. It's like, red light, green light. So, you're going to be in timeout if you get red, and orange is a warning. And so I don't know all the details behind this, but I printed this out after I was reading it this morning. But I think this is important. So, we have to, for all of us, I'm going to implore you, encourage you to put on your critical thinking caps. And I know that sounds crazy, but we have to really dig into everything. So when you read something that's been posted on Facebook or even a video here on YouTube, you have to dig further into the information. And it becomes critical because a lot of us are making certain health decisions. We're also making decisions about our activities, our economic status, whatever it might be. But we have to really look into the sources of a lot of this information. And a lot of it is just not founded. And it can be harmful, particularly the whole mask, the idea that masks are harmful, they limit your oxygen levels. That's bogus, not founded, but yet people are pushing it. So, the one thing is, while these platforms are censoring, and it's the way that they have to. I mean, I understand it. I'm I'm a part of that because I get censored. When I make a substantiated claim based on information I've reported, read, and post, and tag in the description, the studies, they're just kind of YouTube particularly is being quite censored. And they won that case in January. So they will be way more bold than Facebook and Instagram and even Twitter. So Twitter's put this in place. But the one thing, what I encourage all of you is just to look at it from a critical perspective. And, some of the sources, some of the websites, they're just not the most substantially founded research websites. So just be cautious because at the end of the day, our critical thinking is our censorship. It is the little voice in our head that looks at, okay, what's the source? What are they quoting? How substantially founded is this? Who is this person? What's their track record? Are they trying to make money off of this? And is it even US based? Or, we know that there are underlying campaigns happening from other countries to discredit a lot of the information, and it could make us a more unsafe community. So we just have to be thoughtful and mindful of what we're consuming. And one of the things I promised you here is I'm going to vet and censor the information I provide as I research this information for you. And I won't be touting conspiracy theories, and I'm going to be factually substantiated in anything I support and put out for you. So just know that onus on me. What is the driver of today's video topic is a fast-track clinical research out of the European Society of Cardiology. And it just hit this week in the publication, but it was submitted on March 22nd, revised on the 3rd of April. An editorial decision came out on the 20th of April. They made a decision to publish it, and then it was posted. Let me see if I have a date on here, but it was posted this week. So Yeah, May 12th. It was posted on May 12th. So just know, like research, you submit a research article, it takes a few weeks. So some of this information is going to be backdated because of the date of submission. But what they found, so this is particularly looking at European data, Italy, France, Spain. What they found is that for individuals who had COVID-19, so SARS-CoV-2, some of the factors that were at play is there's an association of higher risk for individuals that have the renin, angiotensin, aldosterone inhibitors. And so those essentially are the ACE2 receptors. And so what we know is the ACE2 is what the virus, that little stinger that it has. I talked a lot about this yesterday. The virus is around and it has these like little stingers. And the stinger is what allows it to basically suction cup and insert its genetic code to replicate itself into the human body. Well, what it loves and what it binds to most are the ACE2 enzymes or the receptivity of that. So ACE2 is a particular enzyme. We can test in our own body our ACE2 enzyme levels. What they found is that out of men and women, the concentrations of ACE2 with the individuals in the hospital with COVID, the SARS-CoV-2 that had complications, the concentrations of ACE2 was higher in men than women, and men are known to have a little bit more greater complications. So it affects men differently. So one of the things that we have to assess is if a patient has a risk factor of heart failure, we should be testing the ACE2 levels. And the ACE inhibitors are a factor in that. So this is really telling, is very interesting in terms of the ACE2 concentration on our body. If we can lower that, there's a potential risk that we could lower our risk factor. So those are things that can be in our control. There are certain supplementation that I'm going to go over too, particularly that we know substantially can lower these factors. But these are the stats that they posted. They dig into the ACE2 plasma concentration. So this is a serum based. And men had 65%, where women, so 65% of the sample were men, 35% of the sample were women. So it's substantially male forward. And then they look at different factors, the ventricular fraction, the functionality of the heart. And then they categorize, AFib, renal disease, a lot of these underlying cofactors or health conditions we know contribute. Hypertension was a big, 65% of all of them had hypertension, which was the highest level of risk factor. The other thing too is individuals were on beta blockers. So 84.4% were on beta blockers and only 60% were on ACE inhibitors. So certain medications that we're taking. And what they've hypothesized is that, and this is great, this study, I'll post this link, but it gets really, I love stuff like this. This is a flow chart of how the functions in the body works. But basically they talk a little bit about how this orange dot, this is the virus and how it starts to impact the flow chart, the functionality of the body. And so the ACE inhibits the ACE2, it binds to this. And then that causes a whole bunch of havoc in the body, and they're attributing that to being part of it. So I think this is really fascinating in terms of how can we be more focused on prevention. We're going to see doctors and the clinicians in the ICUs and ERs running more reports, more data, more blood work to identify this. And then they also dig into, we have gene expression. So yesterday I highlighted a little bit about our genetics. potentially could play a role. And this will be years before we even identify our genes and then the exposure of the COVID-2, SARS-CoV-2. And they talk a little bit about our gene backgrounds. They also know that one of the things, the areas where there's higher concentration of ACE2, this particular enzyme and the receptivity, it's concentrated in our lungs, it's concentrated in our heart. And that also plays a big role in terms of where men and women are having this impact. And so I think that that's quite fascinating. And that's really, I hope this makes sense. I'm kind of digging I'm digging into some intricacies in terms of how the body works. But what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit today. So the topic of today's video is specifically when we're looking at how do we minimize that ACE2 receptors, can we lower that in any way? And we know that there's some information, not specifically to this virus, but another form of this coronavirus, where we see that elderberry has been studied, and elderberry can be impactful for lowering the nature of this viral invasion. So, elderberry, we do know, blocks the ACE2 receptor site. So it's like the bouncer, if you will, in the nightclub. So if COVID-2 or the coronavirus is trying to get into the nightclub, your bouncer is elderberry, and it's like, no, sorry, you're not allowed in here. And it will block these ACE receptors. So elderberry doesn't necessarily lower those, but it can block that COVID-2. So, and again, we know this because it's been studied specifically on the coronavirus NL63, and very similar type of action where it targeted the ACE2 receptors. They found that elderberry can block that. So, for instance, I'm drinking elderberry tea. I love, the one company I really love is Buddha Tea. They have an elderberry tea. I also get loose elderberries. It's a little bit more comprehensive in terms of the making. I basically boil it for about 20 to 30 minutes. You can also make a syrup at home, or you can I've got links for the tea and the syrup, the elderberry. But elderberry is very, very potent, and usually 500 to 1,000 milligrams is the daily dosage that you want to look at for elderberry. And also, this can be in one single dose, or you could kind of splice it out, in a tea form. And by the way, I'm drinking my caffeine quarantine mug. I don't know where I put my toilet paper earrings, but I have lost those for the time being. But I have links if you want to grab toilet paper earrings or the quarantine mug. We're supporting our Etsy vendors in the description box below, along with a bunch of cute shirts. So the other thing that it can really be impactful with minimizing specific proteins that are needed for the virus to take effect is to really hone in on your zinc intake. And so zinc is one of those supplements that we know is a front line. It also minimizes the proliferation of any type of viral invasion. And it can block certain protein receptors and also interactions that can lead to these enzymes that increase. So ACE2 are enzymes, and zinc can lower some of those enzyme reactions. So, and I'm specifically talking about two things today. So I'm not going to go into some other things. Those are other topics I've talked about, but specifically here, elderberry is going to be very potent in blocking some of the receptors. And then zinc, and you can take zinc lozenges, you can take zinc in a liquid. I like the liquid trace ionic liquid minerals. It's zinc forward, but it also has the complex of other minerals we need. And then some of the zinc that I do prefer are going to be food-oriented zinc. So eating lots of nuts and seeds, beans, legumes, even edamame, certain soybeans are powerful. But zinc is I love zinc. And zinc is one of those things we want to aim at least 15 milligrams a day in your diet to support those levels. And I see Morobi just had her elderberry syrup. I have T2 and I add honey. Love it. So good. So elderberry is quite potent. Now there are some potential risk factors too. And I'm digging a little bit more into this because where we have things that can support it, there are things that might be exacerbating. And some of the things that might increase the ACE2 inhibitors might be things like vitamin A, depending on the type of vitamin A. And then also we might even see like a B propolis increasing that. I'm digging more into that because I want to substantiate that information. But we for sure know that elderberry can be very potent in that category. And elderberry is something that we see, this is what I usually do. Like if I don't have my Buddha tea, depends on my morning and my time for the day. Tea, you can grab hot tea, hot water pretty much anywhere and throw a tea bag in. But I will combine like the loose elderberries. So they're dried elderberries. I get them loose leaf. Usually I get them at my Sprouts because they've got the, I think it's the heritage herbs. But I get like 5 or 6 ounces. I get a lot in a bag and it'll last me at least 2 or 3 months. And I will brew up a good handful of the elderberries and rose hips. So you get rose hips have natural vitamin C in a plant-based form, which is more bioavailable. And then you add in the elderberry and it's a beautiful tea. Then if you want to make a syrup, you keep brewing it down and you brew it down to where it's kind of, a little thicker. Some people will add honey. You can add lemon to it. You can add some other things in. Car69Z says, if tested positive for COVID and is asymptomatic, how long are you contagious? Until you test negative. So I would test negative. I would do testing every 10 to 14 days. I don't know if you have access to that, if that's your case. But you're active until you're not. And so you have to quantify when you're not. We are seeing some folks this running through their body in 2 or 3 weeks, others longer. The one thing, even when you are asymptomatic, you are contagious and you will have viral shed in your respiratory droplets as well as your fecal matter. Oh, my friend Hillary's on. Hi, Hillary. And one of the things I actually meant to report, I think on Saturday, and I'm waiting for more information to kind of get further into this. But one of the things that they did find, talking about viral shed, they did find that COVID-19, the virus is present in male semen. Now that takes it to a whole new level. So the question is this sexually transmitted? 2, the next question is the virus that they see in semen, is that shedding? So is that a viral shed? So there are a lot of questions that I'm waiting to get answered to detail for you further. But that is something that they've identified, that it is present in male semen. And that might also be one of the reasons why we're seeing, couples and partners, one gets it, another one usually follows suit. And they're also in close proximity and one might be asymptomatic. So who knows? But, and I'm waiting to see if they have also tested vaginal lining, vaginal fluids, because if it's in semen, I would expect maybe the same. So we'll see. That's all up in the air. But definitely, for sure, some of the things that you can do to further support and bolster your body and your immune system is to intake your elderberry tea, an actual liquid form. Holly says, is Nature's Way Sambucus? Yes, that is one of the brands. It's a standardized elderberry. Oh, you've got the gummies. Yeah. So we actually have gummies in our household. Gabriel loves those. I blend different things. Some of the more critical items are liquid for him, and I sneak stuff in. But yes, elderberry, you can find it in the loose little berries, like I was recommending how I make my syrups. You can make them into a syrup, so it's concentrated. You could keep it in your refrigerator, and then you take a smaller dose. It's more potent in that form, but definitely very impactful for that. So, the one thing is elderberry has not been studied on SARS-CoV-2. So at the current state of this virus, it has not been studied. It has been studied on other coronaviruses, and that's where we get a little bit more information. But, what is critical is that we look at how can we bolster our body? How can we support it? And then how can we temper some of these aspects, some of these particular body functions and enzymatic reactions? How can we keep them? And I'm going to fold this so you guys can see this for any of you new joining. But this is the data I'm highlighting today. So for all of you on Instagram, this is the virus, and this is the viral invasion and its impact on the ACE2 inhibitors. And what it does is it really, really enhances the spread. So it almost takes advantage of the ACE2 receptors to maximize its spread. So it's been intuitive to identify, what are these receptors that I can latch onto? It has a very strong bond to them, and then it just replicates. And those receptor sites are great in heart tissue, vascular, channels, and then the lung tissue. And that's where we're seeing also the greater impact. And so the underlying factor for a lot of these folks, the ACE2 receptor sites, when they are higher, we'll see even greater potential of higher blood pressure variances. So that becomes critical, because in this, also the study, the group that they analyzed, one of the greatest underlying factors here is high blood pressure. Let's see, hypertension, 62%. So 323 folks, 330 out of the, I think it was, let's see, how many folks? It was a high quantity of individuals that were tested. So so 1,485 men, 537 women. So that's just, 2,000 individuals. And out of that, 330 individuals showcased hypertension in this study. So, or at least those individuals that had the ACE2 receptor sites, the increase. So men are at higher risk because they're showcasing they have higher ACE2 enzyme levels. And then women follow suit, but men are more prone to that. So there's definitely a factor. And what we need to look more at are the genetic components. So there is a genetic predisposition that we all possess. And when we look at the epigenetics, so the evolution of our genes and our environmental role, we know that food and diet and lifestyle and stress levels all play significant roles on changing our epigenetics. So we may have already these existing genes that can be turned on, and that might be exacerbated. What we have to dig into is how can we foresee that, and how can we change the epigenetic role? How can we minimize the role that these ACE2 inhibitors will play in potentially our exposure? And so that's something that's fascinating to me. I hope this was helpful. But I really, really wanted to kind of dig into this specifically. So if you guys like this, give me a thumbs up. We're only at about 50 thumbs up. Marobi, my kids love the gummies. Yeah, the gummies are good. The gummies that we have, the elderberry gummies, we have the Mega Food. I love Mega Food. Highly concentrated, doesn't have as much junkiness in the gummy itself. So I feel like it's not overly sweet either. That's the other good thing about it, is that it is more concentrated in the elderberry, and it's 500 that we get. So Gabriel and I take those in the morning. And so definitely, for sure, I think this is impactful. And I'm still looking out for the CDC to get more information about the guidelines and the reopening. So that remains to be seen, but that's going to be helpful as we all look at what new normal looks like. We did get an email just for all of you parents, that have school-age kids. We actually got an email today. Next week, our head principal, the leader of the school, is having a workshop webinar, and they're going to detail what the school year looks like. And I have a feeling they're going to roll out this whole new way of schooling that will still have Gabriel at home for probably a majority of the time. They might be alternating, and they have wings. So basically it's infants to 8th grade, smaller school, but it's a big campus, and they've got, elementary wing, they've got the pre-K wing, they've got they call it mini middle. It's like the middle zone, the tweeners, if you will. And then they've got the high school or the middle school wing. And I have a feeling that they're going to have blocks so that some of those kids don't interact, but they're in school. So that will be interesting as we work through this for all of us parents that are trying to figure out how do we juggle this long term. So definitely that is what I wanted to share today. It's a little bit of a shorter news cycle today. I didn't have a whole lot of news, not a lot of big reports or studies to highlight for you. But definitely this, I think, if you are into some fascinating medical reads, this is pretty fascinating stuff. And it digs really into some of those factors with the heart conditions, the heart failure, the unique immune reaction that we're seeing. So, elderberry, so 2 elderberry and zinc, those are the 2 things that you want to focus on. For sure, having in your catalog of daily nutrition and daily immune support, body support. The link, I'll post it when we're all done, Carol. I just didn't get a chance this morning. I research usually off my cell phone in my massage chair in the morning, and so I don't always have that translation to the desktop here. How Ridarax77, how important is your B cells in the fight against this virus? I take an MS medication that wiped them out. So we have an assortment of immune cells, and they're all, ideally all of our immune cells should be working and functioning together. But when you have, an MS medication or you have an autoimmune factor, those cells are a little wacko in terms of how they function. So that puts you in a point where you have a damper, there's a dampening of your immune response, but it's necessary because your immune response is so heightened. So I haven't seen any studies specifically about the autoimmune categories like lupus, MS, RA, Sjogren's, fibromyalgia, and this virus. So I don't have that data, specifically to this virus, unfortunately. Lori says, just check Mega Food gummies. You have so many good suggestions. Oh, so good. Mega Food, love them. They actually have a turmeric one as well that is pretty good. So, like last night, I meant to post. Sorry, we've got a huge bird out there. He's trying to get food. We have more birdseed coming in the mail today. But they, what was I saying? Oh, turmeric. I put turmeric in the meal that I made. I meant to post on Instagram, but I didn't get a chance. Creepy old pervert's here. Hey, creepy old pervert. So, one of the things that I think is key is that we focus, obviously, food first. Ginger, turmeric, all of those anti-inflammatories I highlighted yesterday, which, by the way, that video is still up, so please do watch that. And then I will probably be doing a UV related video because that did go down and I didn't get a chance to back that up. So I might repost what I have on Facebook if I can download that. But definitely there are a lot of different things that we can do. And so even if there are impairments in an immune system, there are still ways that we can support. Mushrooms are really big. I'm a huge fan of mushrooms, like the Gaia Shine. This is a great product, and I'll make sure to post the link to that. So that I hope is helpful. You got, let's see. Creepy old pervert. I'm so curious. Creepy old pervert, comment down below. Let me know where you're from. We have creepy old pervert on. Hey, Hillary. Hillary says I rock. Thanks, Hillary. So Hillary, how's your sister doing? Okay, so yeah, turmeric gummies are yummy. There's also another product, and I actually need to highlight them over on Instagram. They have an assortment of wonderful chocolates. It's called Good Day Chocolate. And they have a turmeric in chocolate. And literally, it's like, I think it's a little combination milk dark. It's not fully dark. But in the middle, they've got 500 milligrams of turmeric and a chocolate. And so that's actually how I get turmeric into Gabriel's body. It's encased in chocolate. And so, you know, as a parent, sometimes we have to work with what we've got. And he thinks those are rewards. And so I can get him to do schoolwork and pay attention and listen. If he gets he calls them morning chocolate, nighttime chocolates. So I have all these tricks. It's mommy tricks of the trade. But yesterday he was complaining about his tummy aching. And I was like, I would have something for that. And of course I have like, you know, liquid tinctures and homeopathics. And so he's pretty reliable in terms of taking those. So Alex says, are beta blockers bad? Well, it depends on what we're using it for. Traditionally, they're used to lower blood pressure. There's a lot of different factors that play with blood pressure, and everybody's body is so unique that I don't have specific commentary. You know, it can't be like black or white. There's gray, because everybody's individual body is so unique and you have different requirements. And you need a tailored, individualized approach where, even though there are studies like this, you know, this is, you know, what we call standardized. So this kind of addresses a lot of people. In the range, we've got women and men. Women, you know, male and female bodies are different. A male body in the age of 60 to 70 is different than a female body in the age of 30 to 40. Different hormones are factors. So there's a lot of different elements at play to look at, you know, beta blockers, you know, ACE inhibitors, all these different things that we see. Okay, so CAR69Z, where can you find the testing in the full script? So the testing is actually not in full script. Full script only handles my supplements. My test kits are on my website. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to repost a new link in my bio, the link bio. You can actually scroll and grab the test. So I'm going to change that around a little bit for Instagram, where you can grab all that data. But do check out my website. That's where everything is. And we have like a shop button. I've got all my free webinars. You can take my free thyroid webinar, my free lymphatic webinar. You can gain access to all of our honey. I've been going back and forth with Chris about my purchase of Children's Immune Boost Protocol. On the 3rd, I haven't received my digital download. Okay, so one of the things with some of the digital downloads is sometimes we get spammed. So if you have ordered the digital download, everything's automated. So it's not like I'm just emailing you directly. It goes through our system. So if you don't receive it, we actually recommend you whitelist the email. Gmail, Yahoo, and I want to say AOL are 3 that will spam out anything. And we have different categories of, I don't know why. I know for sure my men who buy the erectile dysfunction protocol, they purchase it. That and the prostate fix, that gets dinged and spammed every time. And so we've had to alter and adapt the email, like what it says, changing the name. So, you know, because it's considered, you know, a spam term. And so everybody's email is a little different. But if you don't have it, that's a quick fix. We can email you. See, I think Sam, you might have been talking with Sam. I'm not sure, but I'll look into it, Connie, for sure. Okay, so let's see. Let's see, do you post links other places than Instagram? Well, so one of the things with YouTube, all the links are in the description box. So every video, I put a detailed description with links of products I post, and I'll post, you know, this particular research link. I'll just grab the URL here from what I downloaded. But our website's very impactful. I'm working on a blog. I've got to hire a few folks to help me with some of these details, especially with my limited time. But yeah, so thanks for tuning in, you guys. I don't want to waste any more of your time, but I hope this was impactful. I hope you'll consider zinc and elderberry, 2 powerful, potent herbs that can impact your body in a pretty spectacular way. So stay tuned for tomorrow. As more research comes out, that will be often where we go with my content for you. But this I thought was really impactful clinical research specifically because this could potentially be a factor in preventing the degree of cardiovascular impairments. And I reported yesterday some of the statistics it's looking at, the years of life that this virus will cost people could be 10 to 14 years. Men more so, and this enzyme particularly might be a factor in that. So if we could minimize that, it could potentially have a positive result. So, and again, we won't know all of this until way down the road, but this information I thought was impactful for you. So thanks you guys for tuning in. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And if you don't, YouTube, if you're not following me on Instagram, I hope you will. We're trying to get to 10,000 followers. So there's 142 of you. If each of you followed me, we'd hit 10,000 today. And so just find me on Instagram at Natural Health Resources. And I posted a cute picture of my little man yesterday. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great Tuesday and I will see you tomorrow. Bye everybody. Thanks YouTube for tuning in. I'm grateful for Pat and Ron for your moderation and for creepy old man. Is it creepy old man? No, creepy old pervert. Creepy old pervert. So made an appearance. Always fun. All right, you guys have a great day. See you later. Bye.